Pledge of allegiance, please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could just put your microphones on, and Peta and we can.
Is it just mine's on?
There you go. You are on.
Yes.
There.
All right. Thank you. Okay, I'll take the roll call. I am here with Chair Peter O'Brien. Commissioner Fernandez,
Here.
Commissioner Autry,
Here.
Commissioner Devlin, apparently not here. Commissioner Oland.
Here.
Right, so we have 4 of us present, so we have a quorum.
I just wanted to tell you, I got a message from Commissioner Devlin and he will be here in just a few minutes.
Oh, right. Special presentations and or announcements, none. I suppose I can read the public comments without Commissioner Devlin here, as he knows them all, doesn't he? Public participation is welcomed and invited at all planning commissions meetings regarding issues or matters not on the agenda, but still within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission of Yreka. If your comments concern an item noted on the agenda, please address the Planning Commission when that item is open for public comment. The city requests that persons addressing the Planning Commission refrain from making personal, slanderous, profane, or disruptive remarks. Planning commissioners, when recognized by the chair, may ask clarifying questions of presenter, but no action may be taken by the Planning Commission during the public comment section of the meeting. Under the Brown Act, the Planning Commission is prohibited or taking action from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the posted agenda. This time is set aside for residents to address the Planning Commission on matters listed on the consent agenda, as well as other items not included on the agenda. If your comments concern an item listed under the public hearing, old or new business sections of the agenda, please address the Commission when that item is open for public comment. Please speak into the microphone from the podium. The podium electronically adjusts up and down to accommodate the speaker. Please state your name for the record prior to providing your comments. Please address the commissioners as a whole. If you have documents to present, please provide a minimum of 7 copies. These become a public record. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Since the Planning Commission is unable to take action on issues not on the agenda, your matter may be referred to staff for follow-up or be placed on a future agenda. Public comments period is not intended to be a question and answer period or conversation with the Planning commissioners or city staff. 5, consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and non-controversial. Yes, I do. Is there any public comment? Take it that is no. All matters listed in the consent agenda are considered routine and non-controversial and will be enacted by one motion unless any member of the Planning Commission wishes to remove an item for discussion. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held January 17th, 2024, and approval of the 2024 Planning Commission regular meeting schedule.
So moved. I second.
We'll take a vote. Commissioner Fernandez?
Aye.
And Commissioner O'Brien? Aye. And here is Commissioner Devlin.
For the role, would you also just request Commissioner Boland, Commissioner Options?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Do you want to ask it for their vote as well? I understand that they made the motion in the second, but just for the record, if you could.
Yes. Could I have your vote, Commissioner Owen?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Fernandez?
Aye. Commissioner Options.
Commissioner Autry?
And this is for the consent agenda,
Right.
and Commissioner Devlin is now here. Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Recommended Planning Commission action. Motion to adopt the consent agenda of the Planning Commission of the City of Yreka as presented.
Which we already did.
We're good.
I already did. Public hearing. A 2023-24 Collins Storage Facility conditional use permit. The Planning Commission will consider the following conditional use permit. Number 2023-24. Application filed by Collins Properties LLC for assessors parcel numbers 054 201 140 000 and 054 191 570 000 within the city of Yreka. The application proposes the development of 30 to 40 mini metal storage units along with a chain link fence, keypad access, security light cameras, and a paved lot in conjunction with the storage facility.
And you do not need to read the recommended actions.
All right.
Okay. Yes. Good evening, planning commissioners. My name is Alia Roca Lezra. I'm the planning manager. And I am here. We have Kelsey George on the line with PCE who helped us prepare the materials, the documents for this conditional use permit that we will be discussing tonight. So hi, Kelsey. Thank you for being here. So, as you know, this is public hearing item number 6. We're discussing Planning Commission Resolution 2024-01, which is a resolution of the Planning Commission of the city approving the conditional use permit number 2023-24 pertaining to a future self-storage facility classified in the Yreka Municipal Code as a storage building or yard and warehouses for non-hazardous materials, in addition to the adoption of a Class 32 infill development projects categorical exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, for the property located at assessors parcel numbers 054-201-140 and 054-191-570. And I will state the addresses of those in our next slide. You can go ahead, Cindy. So the proposed location of the project for this conditional use permit is at 138 East Raymond Street and also a portion of 400 South Main Street. It's as you can see in the map, it's north of Annie Street between North Main Street and Interstate 5. Its zoning designation is commercial highway. The land use designation is general commercial. and the adjacent uses. To the north, we have the Yreka Creek. To the south, we have residential uses, residential uses and some residential professional office uses. To the west, we have the Yreka Creek and residential uses, and to the east is I-5. You can go ahead, Cindy. You can see the zoning designations for the property and the surrounding parcels. Working with multiple documents here. But the uses of the surrounding properties, I covered them before, and the zoning is very similar. We have some commercial tourist within the proximity, and some light industrial across Interstate 5, as you can see in the map there. Please go ahead, Cindy. So the proposed project intends to develop the site with 30 to 40 mini storage uses classified as a storage building or yard and warehouses for non-hazardous materials in the Yreka Municipal Code. As you saw in the previous slide, the project is zoned commercial highway, which is eligible or an eligible use for this property. But the proposed use requires a conditional use permit as outlined in Yreka Municipal Code, section 16.36.070. Conditional use permits are required for certain uses because of their unusual characteristics. So just to make sure that the proposed infrastructure and site plan aligns with the surrounding areas, the zoning designation, etc. And a CUP allows special consideration to be given to a proposed use and allows the city to apply discretion to its approval, which is why I'm presenting this to you all tonight. It's up to your discretion. Next slide, please. So on this slide, you can see the draft site plan that the applicant submitted. The darker gray areas indicate the 30 to 40 storage units on the parcels. There will be 2 access points to Raymond Street. One is direct and one is via an easement. There will be chain link fences with keypad gate access, security cameras. The operating hours would be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. And the final site plan will be required for review and approval prior to development of the site and the actual operation of the facility. This will ensure compliance with the conditional use permit conditions of approval and the development standards set forth in the CH section of the Yreka Municipal Code. And we've also included a requirement for a landscape plan to separate property lines between the residential areas and public rights of way. Next slide, please. So we did determine that there's a CEQA exemption for this project. The proposed conditional use was reviewed for environmental compliance under the California Environmental Quality Act, also known as CEQA. The proposed conditional use qualifies as a project and is eligible for a class 32 categorical exemption, which is an infill development project. Pursuant to section 15332 of the CEQA guidelines, and I will go into a little more detail about what that means. So a class 32 categorical exemption consists of projects characterized as infill development that meet certain criteria, including projects that are consistent with the general plan projects on parcels that are 5 acres or less in size and located within city limits, projects on sites with no value for endangered or threatened species, projects that would not result in significant impacts to traffic, noise, air quality, or water quality, and projects that can be adequately served by required utilities and services. Next slide, please. So at this point, our staff recommendation is that the planning commission hold the notice public hearing for consideration of the conditional use permit 2023-24. And I believe we would open the public hearing now. Is that correct? Okay, after clarifying questions, does anyone have any questions about this conditional use permit?
No.
Okay, so now we will open the public hearing and I will move out of the way. So please come up if you have any comments on this CUP.
Yeah.
Would you like to? Yeah.
All right, since there's no public comment,
Close the public hearing and open up for discussion. Does any member of the planning commission have any questions?
No, I thought it was very straightforward.
Yeah, my only comments are it's a great project for that piece of land.
Mhm.
The only thing that you included in the CUP is the whole landscape plan. Is that gonna be an architect's drawing landscape plan? Good, because it's only 2 driveways.
Yeah, and the land, and actually the project is still required to submit a site plan application, which
Right.
is required ministerially, which a landscape plan is a required portion of that. It is typically recommended for industrial type uses, which mini storage and storage facilities fall into, that we request a small buffer be with the fencing when it is on the side with a residence, but the residence in question here is going to be a caretaker's house, and so actually really the only portion that's required to have a landscape buffer is just the front.
Right,
And
I
that's it.
just figure we don't need to make them spend money on an
Yeah.
architect drawing that
Yeah.
up. I know
Nope.
that's $1,000 or more.
Nope, it's pretty straightforward.
Cool.
I have a question. It says 30 to 40 mini metal storage units. What's the size of the units?
that's a good question. I'm not entirely sure, but I can find out. Do you know? Yeah.
I would say they're 10 by 10 and 10 by 15, something like that.
Right.
According to the drawing here, it looks like you have them of various sizes.
Yeah. And that's a little bit subject to change.
Okay, for sure.
Traffic flow and things.
Mhm.
I'll just say, I know there's a huge need for storage units in our area. I deal with a lot of people that move and it's not easy for people to find storage units. And so this is a good project for our town. So are we ready to, have we closed the public hearing?
Yep.
Okay,
Public hearing.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
There's a recommended motion on page 2 in the agenda packet or page 10.
Would you like me to read it or just say I'd like to make the recommended motion?
We would prefer to have the actual language for the record, please.
Okay. You can switch glasses. Okay. All right, I will make the motion to approve planning commission resolution 2024-01, a resolution of the planning commission of the city of Yreka approving conditional use permit number 2023-24 pertaining to a future self-storage facility classified in the Yreka Municipal Code as a storage building or yard and warehouses for non-hazardous materials and adoption of a class 32 infill development projects categorical exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, at assessor parcel numbers 054-201-140-000 and 054-191-570-000.
I second. Could we take a vote? Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Autry,
Aye.
Commissioner Devlin.
Aye.
So the motion is
I vote aye
Aye.
as well.
5-0.
Thank you, Kelsey. For moral.
Great. Thank you, guys.
You.
Yeah.
New business. A, film ordinance update. The planning department is updating the city of Yreka's film ordinance, YMC 5.06, which defines the filming permit application process and requirements for commercial film production within city limits. Planning staff present a review of the city's film ordinance and propose a comprehensive update to the city's current commercial film regulations and procedures. Recommended Planning Commission action: review the proposed film ordinance and provide direction to staff. So, you want me to read down?
Say that again, sorry.
No, you can open up the item and have Alia present the film ordinance.
All right, thank you. So the planning department has been updating the city of Yreka's film ordinance these past few months. It's section 5.06 of the Yreka Municipal Code, and it defines the filming permit application process and requirements for commercial film productions within city limits. The planning staff present a review of the city's film ordinance and propose a comprehensive update to the city's current commercial film regulations and procedures. This includes a request for planning commissioners to review the proposed film ordinance and a recommended action to provide direction to staff on the matter. So any concerns or questions you have later on are very welcome.
I take it we're not expecting Steven Spielberg to make an appearance.
You never know.
Well,
So during the update process, the planning department reviewed how filming permits are regulated in 4 different cities. Those cities include the cities of Pasadena, Culver City, Roseville, and Ashland. And the purpose of that was to align this proposed ordinance with the current standard for commercial film productions. And staff have determined that in order to promote the safety and general welfare of residents, adopting the proposed ordinance is recommended to align with the current legal and industry standard and city permitting requirements, other permitting requirements that we have. So just to kind of align processes. And I'm going to invite Jason Young up to give some background on this project. Jason approached us a few months ago because you took over the role of film commissioner. So, hi.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Jason Young. I'm with Discover Siskiyou, also the film commissioner now for Siskiyou County. So to give you a little bit of background, every county has their own film commission that reports to the state. So the state has a film commission, and then each county has a representative. So Larry Alexander, who was out in the valley for a long time, was the film commissioner. But things kind of went a little bit dormant during his time. He got caught out. He was doing Flix Fest and things like that. So we approached him as Discover Siskiyou to take over the film commission. And we had talked to Sabrina, who was down in Shasta County as the film commissioner down there. And she was actually representing us at one point for all the things that were going on because we were dormant, right? So we went to the county with Larry Alexander and we switched over and we became the official film commission seat a couple months ago. And so in that process, we've done a complete new renovation of the website. We've just become the liaisons for the state. So we're now taking RFPs and things like that. So this actually comes right in line with what we would want to see. We're the liaisons to the cities. So we're not here to tell you what to do or any of those kinds of things. What we're here to do is as requests come into the county, and we should be starting to see a lot of them because Shasta County was handling them and kind of letting them go because they had so many projects down there. They say there's a lot of interest for Siskiyou, but as that happens and they come in, then what we do is we then pass it on to the city. So what we want to see from the cities is the contact person and then whatever parameters you set up for your cities, for the permits and things like that. So that's kind of how this is how we set it up and things like that. So any questions, go for it.
Yeah, just a general question. How many film permits do we get or requests?
I think we probably, since I've been here, only done about one, maybe two. Most of the time, they do not come up to Yreka, but again, this is something that could occur. You never know. It happens more in South County than it does here, but we do happen to have a film ordinance on the books. And so it's better to update it now while this is kind of on everyone's mind, as opposed to waiting for when it becomes an issue and it's an outdated code.
How much is it, the film permit?
We haven't set a fee schedule currently in the Muni code. It says that there is no associated fee, but as I'll get into a little bit later, I did add that there would be an associated fee with the update.
But we don't know how much it will be.
No, not really.
Just a stipend, do you think, or quite a substantial amount?
So we wouldn't be able to, so the way that we calculate the fees out for applications, it'll be based off of the amount of average time that it takes us to facilitate that process. But because we don't have an updated ordinance yet, we can't estimate the amount of time. So as we go through the ordinance update process, if the planning commission or the city council decides to make a more stringent ordinance that requires us to do a number of, inspections, things like that, it will be a higher fee. If you happen to have an ordinance that does not require a lot of oversight, then it will be a lower fee. So we cannot calculate the fee until we know the ordinance that's going to go into place. Which is typically why we would bring the fee resolutions back to city council, usually 30 to 60 days after they approve an ordinance. Because that's the other piece too, is we may go through an ordinance update and someone doesn't agree and wants to take judicial action against us. And so that's why we don't typically calculate those fees until after the ordinance is ratified.
So thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
I appreciate you approaching us about this too. So I'm gonna go into a summary about the changes that were made to the ordinance. So the proposed ordinance accomplishes the following. It allows the city manager to designate city staff to review and manage filming permits. Right now, it's written in a way where only the city manager controls the filming permits and the process. It refines the application and review process to ensure clear expectation of applicants and creates timeframes for reasonable review of application materials. I believe in the current code, the minimum number of days prior to filming is 5, and so I extended that for different situations or types of films. It increases city oversight for issuing, managing, modifying, restricting, or revoking filming permits. It establishes parking, noise, street closure, and code violation requirements. For example, if filming is proposed on any property that has a code violation, it would not be permitted until the code violation is addressed. It requires the applicant to pay for city services associated with commercial film production, including a film permit application fee, to your question earlier, Dawn Marie. And it regulates unmanned aircraft systems per city and Federal Aviation Administration requirements. It also requires UASs or drones to have a city business license and or registration and proof of federal registration. So those are just a summary of the changes in the attached supporting documents. On page 34, you'll find the original film ordinance. Page 38 contains the proposed ordinance with the tracked changes in red, and page 46 contains the proposed ordinance with no tracked changes. And I'm giving you the page numbers because I forgot to add exhibit titles to the documents, so I'm sorry about that. In terms of general plan and muni code consistency, commercial film production activity shall be of a temporary nature and be in compliance with the general plan, land use designations, and zoning requirements of the municipal code. And after review by planning staff, no other sections of the municipal code appear to be impacted by these updates. The fiscal impact is expected to be nominal. The payment for the cost of city services associated with regulating commercial film production activities shall be the responsibility of the film permit applicant, if this ordinance is passed. Are there any further questions?
Got a couple. So film company who's getting a permit, are they required to also pay for a business license in the city of Yreka?
So
Or
I-
the next part of the question is just what-
So you mean specifically with drones or with the?
Yeah, you mentioned that the drone operator had to buy Yreka City.
Right. I would assume, or I would say this may not be in the proposed language, but any business wanting to operate within the city does need to have a business license. So I'm not sure whether that would need to be in this section in particular, since we do have our business license requirements. Yeah.
So for like Mount Shasta, the way Mount Shasta does it, for example, and some of the other cities, they'll do basically a film permit, but then they'll also have to buy a daily business license for that proposed for during the time that they're shooting the film. So for some clarification, for some of the
Yeah.
other ones that other cities.
Yeah, I
So.
believe we have the code right now.
Yeah.
And if we were asking one party to pay for a business license.
Yeah, I will take note of that. Thank you for bringing that up. And any discussion about the proposed ordinance is welcome right now as well.
I couldn't possibly think of anything that Culver City wouldn't have.
And this is still like in very draft format. I'm planning on reviewing one more city's film ordinance, City of South Pasadena, at the city attorney's recommendation.
Would recommend maybe. Sounds like you're getting
Yeah.
large population city. If you look at cities with similar size population, yeah, we just jumping to LA standards. That's not-
So the smallest city was Ashland, which is about 3 times the size of the city of Yreka. I am happy to look into smaller cities' film ordinances as well. We just wanted to update to kind of the legal and industry standard.
You found that smaller cities just don't have film ordinances.
It was difficult to find film ordinances for smaller cities, I will say. It was easier to find them for these larger cities that have a lot of experience dealing with film permit applications.
So, I mean, something on our books that makes it more restricted. City that has. It's big. I'll let you come back with what you find on smaller cities.
Sure.
Definitely.
just to piggyback on that, I think before the meeting, I made a joke about how, Arcata was just dealing with a production over there with Leonardo DiCaprio, and perhaps Arcata might be a comparable location to Yreka. It's small, on a, no, I don't know if 101 is the interstate, but it's the small rural location that might be comparable.
Great, thank you. I will look into Arcata as well. And is there any public comment on this item? We will open that now. All right, public comment is closed.
General Plan 2044, Development Scenarios Report.
And actually really quick, Peter, so just to close out this item really quick, so we wanted to just introduce the item for today, get general feedback. We'll come back with this item. Prior to approval, this does require a public hearing notice, so this will go out into the newspaper, so we'll have that for the next meeting. And then items 8B and 8C, we're asking to continue to the next planning commission meeting. We weren't sure how long these two items were going to go, and so we've decided to just focus on the two action items for tonight. The only other thing we needed to clarify with you all tonight is that I will be out of town at the National Planning Conference for our April 17th meeting, and so I was asking if everyone was available for the week after, which is April 24th at 6 p.m. if you're able to do that date instead.
My birthday.
Oh, yeah. We'll get you a cake. If that is possible for the commission to adjust their schedules.
So the 24th instead of the 17th. right?
Yes,
You set out a calendar reminder.
we will.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And
I
so
don't
that
know
one will
that
be,
I will be, but you'll have a quorum.
okay. And that will focus primarily on the land use element for the upcoming general plan update. And so you'll get those documents ahead of time for that meeting. So I appreciate you guys being flexible on that one. I could do it from the airport in Denver, but I would
No.
prefer not to.
Wait,
It's a
this is
distraction.
Scouts. I would like to have, some ideas of fees.
So we won't be able to do that until after the
Does the council
approvals.
do that?
Correct, yeah, so the commission does not deal with any fees, but again, we won't be able to give you an accurate estimate until we get the approval from city council. So again, the city council may get the update and not want the update. That does happen from time to time, and so again, spending time calculating out fees may not be the best use of our time until we know it's in place.
So I need to read future planning items?
No, I think you could pretty much go to adjournment if you feel.
We will adjourn
Okay.
unless anybody has any comments. No?
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's called the standing call.
Yeah.